Hi, folks. Welcome back to another Dungeon Master Roundtable. And today we are going to be talking about what our favorite underutilized monster is. So, Wally, why don't you start us off?
Absolutely. So this is a monster that I'm sure most of you have heard of. And I think one of the most underutilized monsters in Dungeons and Dragons is the dragon. Seriously, you start at level 1 and sometimes you can go an entire campaign without even seeing a dragon. In fact, I see like on social media where folks are like, it's called Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't seen any dragons. I haven't ventured in any dungeons. It should be called Wizards and such and such. So what I would advise a lot of folks is include dragons from the get-go. Maybe it's just a scene as you're setting it. You're walking through town and a huge shadow comes over. You look up and there's a gold dragon that flies over your head. And you look in astonishment, but a nearby NPC says, "Oh, that's the old gold dragon up there. He flies by this time about every day now." And it's just something like that. But your first level, and you have an encounter with a dragon. It's a small one. You just waving as it flies by, but there it is. And a lot of folks would probably use dragons for combat, which you can maybe at later levels because they are a lot stronger. I've actually done that a few times with a young red dragon that was a big bad for me after reaching third level in a Pathfinder game. And the characters were fighting it, and that's when I introduced my all-time favorite dragon, the silver dragon, because this old man that had been their friend since the very beginning was actually in humanoid form, had been for many, many years, but was a silver dragon. And when they started to struggle against the red dragon, that's when he showed his true form. So I think at early levels, and especially for new players, get the dragon in there. It's one of the most iconic monsters, and I think it's underutilized.
That's a really good point. And I know I've had one time my adventurers were walking along a mountain and kind of glimpsed in the very distance a dragon taking off. So it's nice to sprinkle in those, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's some big beasts out there that maybe you want to be careful and not stumble across.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Fred, how about you?
Well, anticipating that somebody might steal my idea, I had three prepared, but I'm going to go with the one that I wanted to talk about since nobody talked about it, and that is Crocodites.
Mm.
Uh, Low-level creature. They are the sort of things that you would probably find in the same places that you would find your orcs and your goblins, which is like dungeons and tombs and cave locations. So they can be used a lot, but they don't really get used that much. And no, I don't know. Does anybody ever remember to use the stench ability? I know they've got a stench ability, but I'm like, I forget it constantly. So I imagine there must
Same
be the
here.
same problem for other
Mm-hmm.
people, right? But this is like a low level creature and it's got 3 attacks. It's got multi attacks. It's got 3 attacks. Oh my gosh. I mean, if that's not scary, what is? I mean, not too many monsters are that scary into mechanically in
Mm-hmm.
Dungeons and Dragons 5e. Seriously, that's something we should do. We should tool them up because they need to be tooled up. But anyway, I like them a lot because they're good at surprising your adventurers because they're good at stealth. So don't need to worry about rolling like a 2 on your initiative and then everybody's going before me. Oh, they're all dead now. Oh, I never actually got to do anything with them. So I like troglodytes for the very reason that I could use them more often than not and just switch out the goblins and the orcs and the various other creatures, even kobold. But kobolds, live in very tight, crammed locations sometimes, so probably not so useful. Anyway, that's the one I'd go for.
I love that
Yeah,
pick. I really do.
yeah, I like adding that nice variety, especially at low level. Special thanks to all of our patrons, especially Arvi. If you want to support our channel, you can head on over to patreon.com/roll4initiative and check out the perks of being a patron. All right, let's get back to it. AJ, how about you?
I also particularly like troglodytes because they're these underground thugs that have just been around forever because they are consummate survivalists. So they were created to just endure. Like so many of the reptile species too, like nagas, for instance, being immortal, and troglodytes just, you punch a troglodyte in the face and it's just like, I had worse before breakfast sort of thing. Like my dietary habits are more dangerous than that. I have chosen it's kind of the flip side to the dragon actually, because you can't really talk about D&D settings without talking about these creatures, and they definitely make up one of the worst threats that you could possibly encounter in the game. And so many people play character player characters who are not the species, in particular humans. Humans are my underutilized bad guy. You can just do everything with them. They're the fill in the blanks bad guy spot. They can be low level, high level, bandits, wizards, town leaders, corrupt religious officials. There could be caravan guards who've got a thing out for adventurers who cause them problems and just victimize you for no particular reason. They can just be drunken fools in taverns who decide to pick on the adventurers. Anything really. They fit so many different slots, and I think they're underutilized as just like the opponent that you most often have to deal with, particularly if you're playing a group of characters like a tabaxi and a drow and a triton and various other things. Makes perfect sense for you guys to be walking around together completely outside of your normal cultures. We're kind of indoctrinated in this with Lord of the Rings and things, but what if there's no humans present to grease the wheels of getting you into the city and things like that? Human cities and things all of a sudden become these ever-present looming threats to your group's survival that you have to contend with now.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. I like that. So the monster that I went with was the harpy, and that's because I think they're a really kind of unique monster where they're smart. They'll try and wait to attack until they have advantage. They'll try and lure creatures into hazards or traps, so that provides you these great opportunities to have kind of environmental dangers that your players have to deal with, in addition to having harpies fly down and maybe try and pick up your characters and dash them on the rocks below. They've got the harpy song, which it's always fun when you get to charm a player and have them deal with that condition, as well as I think there's some cool story moments because they like gathering up little trinkets and treasures. In a campaign I ran, the players had to go retrieve a magical compass that had gotten stolen by a harpy. So they had to go track down the harpy, try and find its nest, and then deal with not only the harpy, but the kind of whole swarm of harpies that they disrupted when they finally found it. So yeah, that is my kind of underutilized monster that I think should get a little bit more love.
As a player, I do never want to hear swarm of harpies ever.
Especially if you're playing like a halfling or a gnome,
Yes.
where it's like, you're going to be the one that they're going to be like, oh, you little, I can easily pick you up. Fly
I like
off.
the whole, you just escape from the dungeon and harpies happen. Oh! Yeah. It's been waiting for 3 days for you guys to come out of there.
Yeah. All right. So what is your favorite underutilized monster? We'd love to know about it down in the comments below. And make sure to go check out all of these wonderful, fine folks. You can find links to their channels in the description below. And we'll see you next time.